Today on Investigate TV Plus, can subtracting a school day add to student success?
Is a 4-day school week as a teacher a perk?
It is. It's a great work-life balance. Just having those Mondays off.
But as the idea of a 4-day school week multiplies, it's leaving some communities divided.
I was not very pleased with the decision.
And schools turn to tech to curb a concerning problem.
It's right there, and if you look in the middle of the sensor, that's actually a light.
How it works and why it's bringing peace of mind to parents.
It lets me know that there are adults in that building who have my child's safety as their top priority.
Then, at this arena, the stars of the show are a little shaky on the ice. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
You may have heard of a 4-day work week, but what about the same for schools? I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. It's a concept districts across the country have been exploring as hundreds move toward a 4-day school week. We found the change comes in an effort to reduce costs and to recruit and retain teachers as the U.S. faces a critical shortage of educators.
But some question the impact a shorter week could have on students who already missed out on significant learning during the pandemic. While the 4-day schedule started in small rural schools, it's expanding into urban communities.
Investigative reporter Kristen Crowley takes us to a school district where opinions are divided.
What is the main thing that you see within those documents?
David Warnix has been a teacher with Independence School District for the last 4 years.
Look at the sources.
But the 2023-24 academic year looks a lot different than what he's used to. Is a 4-day school week as a teacher a perk?
It is. It's a great work-life balance. Just having those Mondays off. I use that time for planning, but I'm also a new father, and so being able to spend that time with my newborn son on Mondays is valuable time.
Time that's valuable to him and the Kansas City area school system. It's one of more than 160 districts in Missouri now operating on a 4-day schedule.
This was 100% about recruiting and then retaining the very best staff here in the Independent School District.
Was that an issue before this?
It was. Coming off of the pandemic, I think all school districts are seeing a large shortage, and certainly that was impacting us.
Superintendent Dale Hurl says the Tuesday through Friday schedule has been a success so far.
We started this school year with every teaching position filled, and the number of applications that we still continue to receive is about 4 times what it was previously.
According to a recent EdWeek Research Center survey, 2/3 of teachers, principals, and district leaders said they'd either be slightly or much more willing to accept a job offer from a district with a 4-day school week.
I think the biggest benefit school districts are trying to get from 4-day school weeks is just greater flexibility.
Paul Thompson, a researcher at Oregon State University who studies the 4-day week, says it's a move that's been gaining traction over the last 5 years. At least 25 states have districts following the truncated schedule.
Back in 2019, there was about 1,600 schools and just over 650 school districts nationwide that were using the 4-day school week. And now we're closer to around 2,100 schools in almost 900 districts nationally that are using this school schedule.
But research shows the impacts of COVID have made time in the classroom more critical than ever.
It's very important in this moment to add an instructional time and not decrease it.
A recent study by the nonprofit Northwest Evaluation Association found that students need more than 4 months of extra schooling in math and reading to return to pre-pandemic achievement levels. Would that be possible for districts that condense their days to 4-day school weeks?
I think the 4-day school week model really hinges on whether or not that instructional time is protected and it is equivalent to what we'd expect in a 5-day school week.
Regulations on instructional time vary by state, but many districts operating on a 4-day schedule are extending their days to keep in line with a full week. On average, students in 5-day districts spend about 35 hours in school weekly, while their 4-day counterparts are generally in school an extra 50 minutes each day. Overall, they tend to spend 58 fewer hours in the classroom annually.
Schools that are on the lower end of the instructional time distribution seem to be showing the lowest achievement levels.
At Independence, Earl says the school calendar has been adjusted and days have been extended by 35 minutes, leaving instructional time on par with what it used to be. For some, the move to a 4-day week was welcome.
A lot more time to prep and do my homework.
It does make the week go by faster.
But for others,
I was not very pleased with the decision.
Brandy Puente has 3 children, ages 7 to 13, in the district. She says the recent change hasn't been easy for any of them.
It's a juggling act?
Yes. And I would say for me too, it's more stressful on Mondays. I can't focus as much on my own job because I'm like, hope the kids are doing okay.
They usually stay home catching up on schoolwork and chores.
It's not as fun as it sounds.
A former educator at Independence, Brandy now teaches 5 days a week at a nearby district. She says she doesn't believe shortened weeks are best for learning.
I do think that it's something to be said about that exposure to your subject matter 5 times a week.
Research on the 4-day school week is mixed. A comprehensive 2021 report from RAND highlights improvements in time with family, but found that student achievement did not grow as fast and could compound over time. Even so, Thompson says the majority of districts that have tried it like it.
90% of school districts that have ever switched to the 4-day school week are still remaining on a 4-day school week schedule.
Group them up into 2 separate groups.
So at least for now,
The 4-day week is going to be kind of a game changer.
it appears the 4-day school week is here to stay.
I just feel more rejuvenated going into each week, and I can be the energetic teacher that these students need. And so I'm really excited for it to happen next year again as well.
Reporter Kristen Crowley joins us now. Kristen, what are researchers saying about potential non-academic impacts from the 4-day week?
Thompson points out there are concerns surrounding student nutrition, physical health, and involvement in risky behavior on those 5th days, not to mention childcare needs for many families. So he says districts looking to implement this model should think about how they can create policies that are more equitable for everyone they serve. At Independence, for example, they've reduced the cost for childcare and they offer free meals and extracurricular activities at certain locations on Mondays.
Are the states on board with the 4-day schedule?
Lawmakers in some states have pushed back against the move. For example, in 2019, Oklahoma passed a law requiring a state board of education waiver for districts interested in either keeping or adopting the 4-day week. And in Missouri, a bill has been introduced that would mandate some districts looking to make the switch to obtain voter approval. Independence's superintendent wrote to lawmakers in opposition of that proposed bill.
Still ahead on Investigate TV Plus, possible new relief for people who suffer from a common and potentially painful infection.
I have 2 to 3 a year.
The vaccine that could give patients hope for the future.
I mentioned to my doctor, let me be the first patient. I'm that enthusiastic. I believe this is a great breakthrough for women.
Plus, preventing peer pressure.
She would say, Mom, I heard about this in school. I heard this kid is trying vaping. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
How one school district is taking the matter into its own hands.
Just gives me a sense of peace as a parent.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
It's often a small, discreet device that can cause lifelong addiction and health issues.
We're talking about e-cigarettes or vapes. According to the 2023 National Youth Tobacco Survey, nearly 10% of teens vape. The survey also found tobacco use decreased among high school students, but increased among middle schoolers. However, a Stanford study found of the 445 teens it surveyed, most did not know how much nicotine was in the products they were using.
For parents, I think it's very difficult. You have to talk to your kids. It's very common now in schools. We need to talk to them, educate about the downsides of vaping.
A Tennessee school district isn't just educating teens about the harmful impacts of vaping, it's taking action.
Reporter Holly Thompson shows us how a new piece of tech is already working.
Hi, how are you?
As a mom of two daughters,
We have 26 teams in our division, so...
oh my gosh, Jessica Goldberg knows growing up can be tough.
They're great girls, but they also experience peer pressure just like anyone else.
Peer pressure that can include vaping.
She would say, Mom, I heard about this in school, or I heard this kid is trying vaping, like, I don't know how I feel about that.
School districts across Middle Tennessee reported a surge in vaping over the past few years, including confiscating hundreds of vapes. It's why when 1,500 students fill Clarksville High School, there's a small addition.
It's right there, and if you look in the middle of the sensor, that's actually a light. It'll light up when it detects somebody's vaping.
Clarksville Montgomery County School District began installing vape detectors in bathrooms back in 2022.
Administrators, the SROs, they get an email, a notification, and they're able to go to that bathroom location and figure out who was in the bathroom vaping.
The Halo smart sensors are now in all 16 of the district's middle and high school bathrooms.
Are these vape sensors really working?
We have seen an incredible difference in the reduction of vaping in our schools.
Just gives me a sense of peace as a parent, and it lets me know that there are adults in that building who have my child's safety as their top priority.
The school district says it's seen a 58% drop in the number of vaping incidents compared to the same time last year. The district is also now piloting the sensors at 2 elementary schools.
Still ahead,
those dogs bring smiles to everybody's faces.
How this pair's connection to their community is inspiring others.
But they've been good to me here, they've been really good.
Plus, new hope for people who suffer from an uncomfortable infection.
Anything's better than having pain.
How researchers developed what could be the world's first UTI vaccine and the unusual way it works.
It's intense, but I think this patient population is motivated.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to InvestigateTV Plus on all social media platforms. According to the U.S. Office on Women's Health, more than half of women will experience a urinary tract infection, or UTI. It's a health issue that's not just uncomfortable, it can be deadly. There's emerging hope for people who suffer from frequent UTIs.
Reporter Jen Pachano has a look at a vaccine still in clinical trials and the unusual way it works.
It's a horrible feeling because you feel the urgency that you have to go to the bathroom. And then when you go, it's very painful. It burns.
Many, like Yolanda Curry, suffer from frequent or recurring UTIs.
I have 2 to 3 a year.
These patients often end up at urgent cares and ERs, desperate for relief and treatment.
And then they're at an increased risk of another UTI right after that treatment, just because of the way our immune system deals with a bacterial infection in the bladder.
Dr. Rachel Pope is a gynecologist at the Urology Institute at University Hospitals. She says older patients during or after menopause are at a particularly higher risk because of the lack of estrogen to help fight off infections.
Especially in assisted living facilities, elderly patients, they're not necessarily getting that burning sensation or these classic symptoms of urinary tract infection. Sometimes it's showing up as delirium, as confusion, as mental status changes. And they very well might
end up in the hospital until a UTI is actually diagnosed.
In the U.S., we see 10.5 million doctor's visits and 3 million ER visits each year because of UTIs. Patients can even become septic and die if these infections aren't caught and treated. There's also a societal cost in terms of missing work, with an estimated $3.5 billion worth of loss in productivity. But a new vaccine is giving patients like Yolanda hope for relief. Urimmune targets 4 of the most common bacteria known to cause UTIs. It's an inactivated or killed vaccine, which is similar to vaccinations currently used for hepatitis A and the seasonal flu. The vaccine is not yet FDA approved or available to patients, but it has been proven effective in an FDA Phase 3 clinical trial. Dr. Pope says introducing this vaccine to her patients would be huge.
What they found from research is after the first year of taking it, it reduced the number of infections by 70%. So that's massive for a woman who's getting 6 to 10 urinary tract infections a year.
The efficacy numbers lessen after the first 12 months, but are still at about 30%. This isn't a roll-up-your-sleeves kind of vaccine, though. The application of this UTI vaccine is very unusual. Patients will have to spray the pineapple-flavored vaccine under their tongue every day for 90 days.
It's intense, but I think this patient population is motivated. They really want to do anything to avoid that next urinary tract infection.
Anything's better than having pain, because throughout my life having these bladder infections, it's interfered with me at work.
Dr. Pope says there's not a lot of data out there yet detailing how much the efficacy drops off if a patient skips doses. But those who are using it are seeing their immune system's memory triggered to remember the bacteria that are coming back and successfully fighting it off. She says once it's available, she'll be recommending it to her patients with frequent UTIs as a way to keep them off of so many antibiotics.
I mentioned to my doctor, let me be the first patient. I'm that enthusiastic. Wow. I believe this is a great breakthrough for women.
Yolanda is confident this vaccine will improve her quality of life and looks forward to enjoying things others who don't suffer from frequent UTIs take for granted, like plane rides.
And I always made sure that I get my seats right in the back next to the bathroom, so now I can sit up in the front and enjoy the ride.
According to the Cleveland Clinic, 90% of UTIs are caused by bacteria and usually go away with antibiotics. If you develop a fever, back pain, or vomiting, you should see a doctor right away.
Still ahead, working hard.
Well, they clean the popcorn up.
Or hardly working.
I had a girl come off probably a month or 2 ago, and she goes, "You just made my day. I've never seen a dog on a Zamboni."
How these pups are warming hearts out on the ice.
I'm Viv Williams with a medical mythbuster moment. The myth: if you get a normal mammogram, you definitely don't have breast cancer. That is a myth. Research shows mammograms are highly effective at spotting cancer, but a Mayo Clinic expert says they are not perfect tests.
It's important to realize that a mammogram is a screening test and that it is not going to pick up every single breast cancer that could be there.
Dr. Christine Clausen says this is particularly true for women who have dense breast tissue, because dense breast tissue shows up as a white area on mammograms, and so does the cancer.
I always tell my patients that even if they're feeling a new lump or if they're noticing a new change in the breast, even if they've had a negative mammogram recently, it should be reevaluated with a little bit of additional testing.
Additional testing could include whole breast screening ultrasound, a contrast-enhanced mammogram, or a test called molecular breast imaging, or MBI. Clausen says all women should start routine breast cancer screening with mammography beginning at age 40. With this medical mythbuster moment, I'm Viv Williams.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
The proverb, man's best friend, was first used in 1789 by King Frederick of Prussia. Historians say the king's love of his greyhounds was uncommon at the time, when dogs were owned for hunting and herding, rather than as companions.
In 2024, the saying still holds true. In fact, for many of us, our dogs are family.
Reporter Dale Ryman shows us how 2 pups feel like family to an entire community.
Outside Ice Hawks Arena, the cold is losing. Inside, ice wins. A sheet groomed by Rob Podak.
Yeah.
He's worked here since the building opened in 2002.
I don't know, it's just been in my blood.
A job, he says, that's more than simply cranking and driving.
Like today I came in at 10:30, I changed the blade on the Zamboni, I went now edged, scraped the ice down, and then I help them with their surfaces. It's time consuming.
Time consumed with his best friends.
This is Penny, she's 7 years old, she's a white English lab. Jersey just turned 2, she's a red fox English lab.
You won't see Rob at the rink without Penny and Jersey playing fetch pregame. Or riding along as he grooms the ice.
They just love going on there.
A trick he taught them at 7 weeks old. The two pups have become attractions in their own right.
Oh, they love it. I had a girl come off probably a month or 2 ago and she goes, "You just made my day. I've never seen a dog on a Zamboni."
Those dogs bring smiles to everybody's faces.
Same as usual, you're doing all the work.
Ann Neneman coaches the UW-Stevens Point women's hockey team. They used to call Ice Hawks Arena home until moving back on campus at KB Willett Arena.
A lot of our opponents would always say, "Oh, you're the one with the dogs, we're going to the dogs." And then unfortunately we had to break the news that the dogs stayed at Ice Hawks with Rob. They didn't get to come to KB Willett with us.
Come on, let's go.
They even helped clean the bleachers.
Well, they clean popcorn up. Come on, let's go.
At 61 years old, married for 25 years, Rob isn't sure how long he'll keep doing this.
There's days where I ain't gonna go south for a good part of the winter.
But this
Sit down. Sit.
is in his blood. Ice in his veins. Loyal till the end.
But they've been good to me here. You know, they've been really good.
So what do you think the dogs like more, riding on the Zamboni or getting their treats?
Oh, treats, right?
Popcorn.
100%. Yeah, cleaning up that stadium. I love it, the arena. All right, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, a major policy shift for military families.
Did you ever think 12 weeks paternity leave was ever going to happen?
No.
I was shocked.
We go in depth to see how listening to service members helped create reform and promote retention in the military.